It's Wednesday, November 16th, and this is now on HNN. New at noon, President Biden makes a quick stop here on Oahu.
We're going to look at the totality of this incident, from an intentional act to distracted driving to possibly impaired driving to an accident.
Dozens of Sheriff's Department recruits are hit by a wrong-way driver while on a training run. I'm Danya Backus with the latest on the investigation.
America's comeback starts right now.
Analysts say Trump's presidential announcement puts Hawaii's GOP leaders in a tough spot.
Who is not well liked in Hawaii, who is not widely supported in Hawaii, or do they take a more moderate stance?
And are we beginning to see signs of inflation peaking this holiday season? Details coming up on This Is Now.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having lunch with us right here in the HNN Digital Center. You got Jonathan and Ashley standing by right here. Let's get right to today's top story.
Yeah, Air Force One made a stop on Oahu just a short time ago. Check it out.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for your service. I really mean it. You're the best in the world.
Yeah, this video just into our newsroom. President Biden there being greeted by service members, him thanking them for their service as he made this brief stop in Hawaii on his way back to the nation's capital following a whirlwind trip to Asia. Biden landed just hours ago so that Air Force One could refuel. The president was also greeted by Governor David Ige and his wife on the tarmac there, along with other dignitaries. Now, keep in mind, during their brief stop, there were some strict restrictions to air traffic. We have a whole story published right now on your HNN digital platforms about this brief stopover. We have a lot more video and images there if you want to check it out.
Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris is heading to Asia next week. CNN has learned she will be making a stop on the Philippine island of Palawan. She'll become the highest-ranking U.S. official to ever visit there, and the move could create tension with China. That's because Palawan is located near the disputed Spratly Islands in the South China Sea. Beijing has long claimed sovereignty over the sea, but so has Vietnam, Taiwan, and the Philippines. The vice president's trip will come just days after President Biden held face-to-face talks with China's President Xi Jinping. The international community is now in agreement that a missile that landed in Poland yesterday, killing 2 people, was most likely a stray rocket fired by Ukraine. Deborah Alfarone has the latest.
Officials from NATO, Poland, and the U.S. say a deadly missile strike on Polish territory does not appear to be intentional.
We're still gathering information, but we have seen nothing that contradicts President Duda's preliminary assessment that this explosion was most likely the result of a Ukrainian air defense missile that unfortunately landed in Poland.
Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said the U.S. has full confidence in the Polish government's investigation of Tuesday's explosion that killed 2 people in a small border town.
And whatever the final conclusions may be, the world knows that Russia bears ultimate responsibility for this incident.
The incident initially raised concerns Russia may have hit a NATO member. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called it a Russian missile attack on collective security.
President Biden discussed the incident during an emergency meeting with G7 and NATO leaders while they were in Indonesia.
Russia can and should stop the war. If they're able to do it, they can stop it tomorrow if they wanted to.
Ukraine's military says its air defenses took down 77 of more than 90 missiles Russia fired Tuesday, along with 11 attack drones. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, Washington.
And this update to pass along, Lori Vallow Daybell will stand trial after being found competent. Today, a judge lifted the October order pausing the case of the Idaho mother accused of murdering her 2 children. Vallow and her husband, Chad Daybell, are charged with the killing of her children in 2019. They were reported missing months before their bodies were found on Daybell's property. A joint trial was postponed due to concerns about Ballo's mental health. You'll recall this story has a Hawaii connection. The couple married on the Garden Isle, and Ballo was arrested there in 2020. A new trial date has yet to be set. Now to this breaking news update. Several members of the Los Angeles County Sheriff Department's recruiting class were injured today after a car plowed into them while they were on a training run. Danya Backus brings us the very latest.
The LA County Sheriff says 25 Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department recruits are hurt after this SUV drove into them while they were on a training run.
Tragedy struck our department. They were running in formation heading northbound when a vehicle that was traveling southbound veered into the northbound lanes and struck the formation.
The recruits were hit just before 6:30 this morning near their training facility in Whittier, a suburb a few miles southeast of Los Angeles.
25 recruits were injured, and 16 were minor injuries. 4 of them were moderate, they're in stable condition, and 5 of them were in critical condition.
It is hard to see because these young people are getting ready to go put themselves in the line of danger in their career, and who knows that while you're training to do that, you are actually in harm's way.
The injured recruits received quick medical treatment. Crews working in a nearby fire station heard the crash and rushed to the scene.
The chaos, that ensued, said it looked like an airplane wreck. There were so many bodies scattered everywhere in different states of injury that it was pretty traumatic for all individuals involved.
The 22-year-old SUV driver suffered minor injuries.
We're going to look at the totality of this incident, from an intentional act to distracted driving to possibly impaired driving to an accident.
Police say the driver is being detained while the investigation continues. Danya Backus, CBS News, Whittier, California.
Now, record inflation is being felt deep within the pockets of Americans, but are we beginning to see signs that inflation is peaking just in time for the holidays? Isabel Rosales joins us now for the latest on that. Now, Isabel, is inflation peaking? What are the experts saying?
Well, it's definitely cooled down. The latest figures showing that it has gone down to 7.7%, looking at the end of the year at October. But that's still incredibly high. Remember that the experts want to see that closer to 3 to 4%. According to the American Farm Bureau Federation, inflation, it's not only hitting your pocketbook, Ashley, but it's also decreasing your purchasing power, meaning that come Thanksgiving, the menu items that you're purchasing, that might gobble up a bit more of your money than you've experienced in years past. But still, there are glimmers of hope, pointing to perhaps that inflation has peaked. Number one, wholesale prices, that still went up, but it's dramatically less. The pace of it has been dramatically less than what experts thought. The same goes with consumer prices. That increase has slowed down. So that's good news right there. The hope for investors here, they are betting that this cooling inflation will lead the Federal Reserve to raise interest rates by smaller amounts. So far, Ashley, there's been 4 consecutive historically large hikes. But there is a warning with this. Some experts worry that maybe the markets are getting too excited here with these latest figures, where the Fed is clearly more concerned about controlling this 40-year high inflation than it is about perhaps slowing the economy down. Their next meeting, by the way, December the 14th, Ashley.
Yeah, Isabel, you mentioned Thanksgiving dinner. I think that really puts things into perspective for people. So when we talk about this year's Thanksgiving dinner, where can we see those prices really impacting wallets?
So there was a survey put out by the American Farm Bureau Federation, and it found that, unfortunately, every single Thanksgiving menu item went up in price, all except for one, and that's cranberries, which went down by 14%. But take a look at this. Thanksgiving dinner costs a whopping 20% more this year. A feast for 10 people with 12 menu items like turkey, stuffing, pumpkin pie, that will cost you about $64 on average. That is up from $10 from last year. So looking at the individual prices, the things that went up the most, there it is. Look at that. A 16-pound turkey, $29. Pie crust, whipped cream, up 29%. And the biggest price increase of all, stuffing, up 69%. Also problematic, Ashley, are supply chain issues that are related really to the war over in Ukraine. Those have also pushed Thanksgiving menu item prices up, and also farmers and ranchers having a harder time paying more for things like feed, fertilizer, and fuel. All of that impacting us and our wallets. Ashley.
Yeah, and Isabel, apparently there's some good news to all this. Can you explain that?
And don't we want the good news, right? It's the holidays. We're the good news. Well, the good news is if you want a turkey, you should be able to find one. This despite temporary regional shortages with turkeys due to avian influenza, mostly prevalent in the Midwest. Plus, the price for frozen turkeys, they dropped 14% this week. And by now, most grocery stores, they are running deals. But do note that depending on where you live, you might see different prices. Shoppers in the western part of the country, they reported the highest prices for these menu items. Shoppers in the south found the most affordable prices. Ashley.
Yeah, and we know things have to be imported here to Hawaii, so we can probably expect to see higher prices as well. All right, Isabel Rosales joining us from Washington, D.C. this afternoon. We appreciate the time.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and my fellow citizens, America's comeback starts right now.
Former President Donald Trump makes a presidential run in 2024 official. He made the announcement yesterday at his Mar-a-Lago home in Florida. Trump is firing up national and Hawaii politics, but does he help or hurt the local Republican Party? The answer depends on who you ask. Mahealani Richardson reports.
Political experts say Donald Trump's run for president in 2024 fires people up, but makes it difficult for local Republicans who will have to make a choice.
I think it puts them in a very tough spot. Do they openly support former President Trump, who is not well liked in Hawaii, who is not widely supported in Hawaii, or do they take a more moderate stance that likely will be more palatable to a larger voter percentage?
I think he'd be a great president.
Republican State Representative Bob McDermott disagrees and says he energizes both parties.
Trump has energized politics across the board. He energizes the Republicans, and he makes the Democrats so mad that he energizes them too. And everybody is engaged. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't translate when they go to the polls. Our turnout was kind of low.
Trump's presidential plans leave pundits wondering what's next for former Democratic Hawaii Congressmember Tulsi Gabbard, who ran for president, left the Democratic Party, says she's independent, and just signed on as a contributor on Fox News. HNN interviewed Gabbard as she voted at Honolulu Hale on Election Day.
I have to ask you this. Yeah. What's next for you? Are you planning another run for office soon?
No plans right now. I'm just trying to be of service the best way I can and try to make a positive impact both for Hawaii and for the country.
Mahealani Richardson, Hawaii News Now.
New at noon, we also have new reaction from Hawaii Senator Mazie Hirono on Trump's big announcement.
I think that the American people said that they are not interested in continuing to deny the election, that they want to focus on things such as lowering their cost of living and supporting middle class tax relief. This election made it very clear to me, and I think to most of the American people, that the kinds of issues that they care about were the ones that the Democrats addressed. And Donald Trump can do what he wants. In fact, I think it's leading to a lot of infighting within the Republican Party.
All right, back out here in the HNN Digital Center, we are giving you a first alert to some surf action.
That's right. A northwest swell continues to fill in and produce high surf advisory conditions for parts of the state. Now, this swell will be reinforced by a more northerly swell late today into tomorrow, which may extend the high surf advisory for north-facing shores. And a slight boost by Friday is expected as a small long-period south swell moves through.
All right, taking you live outside to St. Louis, Missouri. Right there, Mississippi River. You can see that flowing underneath the Gateway Arch. Just checked the temp. 34 degrees, which is terrifying to me because I have to fly into St. Louis to see Grandma for Thanksgiving. So warm up, please. Someone send me a coat. because it's only 79 degrees here. I shouldn't say only, sort of our average around this time. Let's see how the weather is shaping up for the rest of the week. Here is our good friend Guy Hoggy.
And this is tomorrow morning when another disturbance comes in with a few windward and Mocha showers. Friday morning, again, a few showers favoring windward sides. And notice the rain that's coming in over the next several days and the mornings will likely be very, very light. So this is not going to amount to very much. But windward sides will see some passing disturbances from time to time into next week. But for the most part, we're not going to see a whole lot of rain, even though there will be some passing showers from time to time from those weak disturbances. And the thing that's significant that you will notice is the slower winds tomorrow. Humidity levels might climb a little bit, but overnight temperatures will be low. And you can see we're in for a nice long stretch of beautiful weather, although it's going to be very windy on Saturday and Sunday.
The Western Pacific nation of Palau is struggling to adapt to climate change, and the country is also embroiled in a debate over the future of the ocean's resources. Lee Cohen went for a swim with the former president of Palau to see a marine paradise in peril.
For the islanders of Palau, climate change is hardly a new idea. For thousands of years, their ancestors have been carefully managing their most precious natural gift, their ocean. The turquoise waters in the maze that are the Rock Islands are pristine, almost as if man had never been here before. Palauans call it the nest of life. The waters here are teeming with more than 1,500 species of fish, more than 700 species of coral. There's so much to look at, it's pretty easy to get lost in all the dazzling display.
God, it's unbelievable. Where's the boat?
The person with our boat is none other than the former president of Palau, Tommy Remigasao Jr., who did, in fact, come back for us.
We are in an area where absolutely no commercial fishing whatsoever.
Nothing?
No.
In his first term, in 2006, he joined with other Micronesian nations and banned commercial fishing and drilling across 30% of Palau's waters. That was a start, but Remigasao wanted more. He grew up in these waters. As a boy, he'd actually swim inside some of the region's most famous underwater residents, Palau's giant clams.
We would climb inside the giant clam. Inside the clam? Inside the clam. And these old clams wouldn't be able to close all the way. So you're kind of safe in a way.
When he was re-elected in 2015, he set about what would become his legacy. He argued for a full 80% closure of Palau's waters. That's an area bigger than the state of California.
If you're concerned about the welfare of the people, if you're concerned about maintaining the population of the marine resources, then you have to do something drastic.
In 2020, the Palau National Marine Sanctuary finally became one of the largest protected marine areas in the world.
It doesn't matter where you live. You are either a part of the problem or part of the solution.
But the sanctuary's future is now uncertain. Palau's current president, Surango Whips Jr., is considering reducing the size of the protected area in an effort to jumpstart Palau's local economy.
It makes it challenging because when I talk to my friends in the Pacific about closing off large areas, they're like, well, what's going to happen to the revenue that we're currently getting?
When the foreign fishing fleet left Palau, it took with it a lot of jobs. But since there's no domestic fishing fleet here, that meant it also removed the source of tuna from much of the local market.
When you go too far in one direction, what do you think happens? They revolt and they want to get rid of everything. That's not what we're doing. We're trying to optimize and actually improve and make it better.
That's welcome news to fisherman Jackson Narinas.
I think the intent of the law also was to develop the local fishing industry, people like me.
He says it cost him as much as $15,000 to fuel up just one of his boats. But he says the 20% where he is allowed to fish isn't actually where the fish are.
There's no fish here.
Come and visit.
Whip says it's not about percentages. It's about finding the sustainable balance between protection and production.
So essentially what you're saying is bigger isn't necessarily better.
Right. So it's about replacing what's lost to make sure that that resource that we're protecting still has a benefit back to the people.
Former President Tommy Remigisau doesn't buy that economic argument. To him, that sounds a lot like the foreign fishing lobby casting its political net just to get back in the market.
It's not like we're dying because of lack of fishing revenues. We more than can make up for it.
But whatever happens, he says at least the debate has focused attention on Palau, which for generations has been doing more to protect the world's oceans than countries thousands of times its size.
We're happy that people take notice of what Palau is doing, but that's the idea. Take notice and do something.
Lee Cowan, CBS News.
Man, we have some gorgeous neighbors here in the Pacific. Really shows you how important those resources are. All right, let's talk about some news trending online. And just in time for the holidays, LEGO has unveiled its tallest build ever. Check it out, the new LEGO Eiffel Tower set. It contains 10,000 pieces, and it is huge. It measures about, I think it's 5 feet in height, and it's really not for youngins because it takes a lot to build this guy. It's a very difficult one. It's not cheap either. $630 price tag.
Yeah, all the
Yikes.
pieces are the same color. That's hard.
Yeah, that would be hard.
Well, remember pumpkin spice Spam? Well, the canned meat brand has a new festive flavor just in time for the holidays. Spam Figgy Pudding. So what is Figgy Pudding, you ask? Well, it's a traditional British Christmas dessert made with seasonal spices, beef fat, and dried fruit. So think Spam with notes of cinnamon, nutmeg, orange, and fig.
I ordered it this morning, so
It
we'll have.
It sounds okay.
It's gonna be like a glaze, I think,
Yeah,
when we try it
yeah.
out. I think
You
it's just-
ordered it?
Yep, ordered. You can only get it on Walmart and Amazon
Yeah.
and Spam's website, I think.
Awesome.
So
Can't
I
wait.
ordered us some before it sold out because pumpkin spice went fast.
Yeah.
All right, good news now time. Let's get an update on those Grammy nominations. Here's Nichelle with more.
Aloha, Jonathan. I want to focus on one of the night's top prizes, Record of the Year. And it's filled with stars, including the most awarded female artist in Grammy history, Beyonce. It's a good day to be the queen. She leads the nominations with 9 and just earned the most nominations ever in the Record of the Year category with 8 for her song, Break My Soul.
It feels good to know that the hard work paid off.
Adele's Easy on Me is also up for the award, but she'll have to beat Harry Styles' Song of the Summer As It Was, Kendrick Lamar's The Heart Part 5, and Lizzo's About Damn Time.
I feel really humbled and honored, and I'm shocked.
Then there's newcomer Steve Lacy's Bad Habit going up against the return of Swedish pop icons ABBA for Don't Shut Me Down. Brandi Carlile featuring Lucius on You and Me on the Rock, Doja Cat's Woman, and Mary J. Blige's Good Morning, Gorgeous.
A lot of hard work put into everything I've done, and that's the reward. You know, that's one of the rewards, so I'm grateful.
And tune in to ET tonight because we're in New York with Chris Hemsworth. What's his advice for fellow Avenger and sexiest man alive, Chris Evans? For Entertainment Tonight, I'm Nichelle Turner.
And don't forget, Entertainment Tonight airs right after our 6 p.m. newscast on KGMB, the most watched entertainment news show in the world. Check it out.
Very cool.
Yep. And also check us out on our extended live stream that's going to take place on our HNN digital platforms right after this is now. So on Facebook Live and your HNN digital streaming services. We're going to talk live with our White House correspondent, John Decker, more about that G20 summit in Bali. Again, talking to him live from Bali in just minutes. Ashley's going to have all your other news updates throughout the day on First at 4 on KHNL. Have a good one.
See ya.